This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Good morning, South Central State. This is INCRadio, South Central State Satellite Studio. A lot of alliteration there, but we thank you for joining us. It is finally cooling off here in Texas and the surrounding states. Joining us today, I have a good friend of mine from McKinney, Texas. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone, and good morning. My name is Victor Novelo from McKinney, Texas.
All right. Now, you have to excuse us. We're both a little bit under the weather, recovering from something that's been going on in the area. But I think our voices will hold up just fine for today. I'm going to go ahead and drop the question of the day, and that is: have you ever gotten a job that you weren't 100% qualified for, but you faked it until you made it? Okay, or something similar. But I mean, I can relate to that because that's how I ended up in Fort Worth. A friend of mine got me a job in data, and it really took off my career. So with a little help from my friends, right? So from last week, okay, if you missed last week's show, we talked about job disaster stories, and I was talking to Victor in Dallas about a comment that he was trying to leave, but then he wasn't able to get it in time. We weren't able to mention it. And then as he was explaining, I was like, we really need to have this on the show. So that's how we came up with today's show, so we could talk about this particular experience. So Victor, what type of experience did you have before this job at the shipyard?
A lot. I was working I had worked for McDonald's, and then I worked actually for a nursing home, and I was a dietary aides, which I prepare food for our clients, right? So that's what I used to do. It's way total opposite of what happened with this job that we're going to talk about.
So pretty low skill jobs you can kind of train in like a day to get.
Yes, yeah, very easy. Things that you can just pick up, then do it the next day, no problem.
Right. Yeah, I can relate to that. I worked in food service and all. Well, food service, it takes quite a while to learn the ins and outs of everything, but that doesn't really require a rocket science degree.
But someone is guiding me though, because as a dietary aide, there's the chef. There's a lot more people. All you got to do is push the tray, put everything on the tray, and then put it on what they call the heating cabinet, so that we can provide it to our clients.
Right. But how old were you at this time?
I was probably about 19 or 20.
And where was this?
This is back in Seattle, Washington, Pacific Northwest.
Awesome. Okay. So does this lead directly into this shipyard job that you had mentioned to me?
It did, but I wasn't I wasn't really thinking about going there. I was just talking to one of my friends, and they had mentioned, "Hey, what do you do?" And then very easy conversation. And all of a sudden, he just told me, "Hey, we have this opening." I go, "Okay, I'm up for the change. Okay, what is it?" And then they told me what it is, and I don't know what it is. Actually, I'm just going, "Okay, oh, that sounds very good." Because I pick up things quickly anyway, so I'm a fast learner. So I said okay, and then they just give me the gist of it, and they said, "Why don't you just go?" I go where? Go apply for the job. Okay. So I did.
So how did that work? How did you apply for this job? Did you go like on a website and fill out an application and upload your resume?
Well, back then, it's not really that complicated. Resume and all that stuff. Today, you have to really sell yourself, right? Um, but on this one, this friends of mine, they just told me, just mention our name, go to this place, and say yes to all the questions, and then tell them our name after the interview. And then I said, okay, where is this place? And then they told me to go the next day, and which I did. Exactly what they told me. I did not bring any applications. I did not bring any of my resume. It's just me. I just went, casual. I just went to there. Just a lot of people, but I was a sore thumb. I was dressed differently for an actual interview, right?
Were you like in a suit and everything?
Not exactly, but almost. I was in a very formal attire, jacket, sports jacket, and all that stuff. And then, but all the folks that are in there, they were t-shirts, jeans, greasy jackets. And I'm like, oh, okay, am I not in the right place? And then finally, they called my name, and then we sat in the room.
Okay, so and this was at the actual shipyard.
This is what they call the local union.
Okay.
So you have to go through that in order for you to get to the shipyard employment.
Okay. So all right. So you're walking into this interview room. What happens next?
All right. So they asked me, are you going to interview us, or are we going to interview you? Are you the president of this local or union, or what are you here for? And I said, well, I'm here to apply for a job. And I told them, as a pipe fitter, this is what my friends have told me, scripted. And I would like to apply for a job. And then I told them the names of my friends. And then they said, oh, it's you. Okay, yeah, it's me. So they gave me an endorsement to for the person that would interview me. So
okay, so your friends kind of gave you a a recommendation that someone would be coming in for a job interview.
Yes,
They recommended you. Okay.
Absolutely. So that's kind of made me a little bit more peaceful mindset, right? Like, oh, okay, here we go.
And I have a feeling that a lot of employers they like to employ, I guess, like friends of their current employees, especially if the employee's already in good standing. Because if you don't know somebody, you're just hiring them off the street, then you don't know who they are. At least if they have some friends, like, hey, they can't be that bad.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's exactly what happened. You know, my friends that are working already at the shipyard, they are already well known in the vicinity, in the project that they're working on, and they've been there for quite some times. So they're known by their first names, and they just have the opportunity to represent. So when I walked in there, yeah, they're expecting somebody like them, right? So when they started asking me the questions of the descriptions or the things that I am, if I know the job, I just kept saying yes, because that's what I was told to say. Yes. Do you know how to lay out pipes? Yes. Do you know how to silver brush? Yes. I don't even know what that means at that time. I don't even know what a bow is. I don't know what even the starboard is in the ship, right? I don't know anything. That's yes, yeah, sure. And then okay, they said report to this place tomorrow.
Sounds
Okay.
like there's a good chance the union guy hiring you doesn't know all that stuff either. He just has a list
It's
of
hilarious.
qualifications. He's like, okay.
It was so hilarious during that time. During the interview, it was hilarious. But when I got to the site, that's a different story.
So this is the next day. You had the
This is
report
the
the
next
next
day.
day.
The
All
next
right,
day.
tell me about this. Tell me about this.
So of course, the next day they gave me a brief highlights of what I need to do. So I'm like, yes, because that's what I was told. They told me what kind of clothing I need to wear because it's outside work. It's a yard. It's going to be cold, so I need to wear this kind of jacket, jeans, thermal and all that. good stuff, right? So I did. So I bought all this brand new, right? Because I don't have the gears, so I'm all like brand new, man. You can still smell the brand new clothing in me. So I got to the site, and I didn't know where to go, so I just started following everyone. And then there's this big door in front of us, and we're all just waiting for the bell to ring so the door will open, and then we will all go in. And everyone is just a mess, right? They're wearing hard hats, and it's different hard hats because they're different categories of jobs. There's blue for sheet metals, and gray for us pipe fitters, and others, riggers and all that. And then so I'm just walking away, and they're all looking at me as a sore thumb again because I'm all new, right? I smell new. It's like, oh my God, there's a rookie. There's a rookie in place. And so as soon as that door opened, that big door, it was overwhelming because first time I've seen a large ship on a dry dock. I don't even know what that was during that time. People are just walking, busy, doing their own thing, and I just don't know where to begin. My thought was, I'm going home. I'm gonna tell my friends, oh, I'm going home, and then, but I just walked around, and then reported to somebody, and they told me to go up to this one ship and then just look for my friends. But I had a hard time looking for them because their job responsibilities is in the ship. It has to be on bilges, like underneath. You cannot see anybody.
Right.
Once you're given a scope of work, you are on your own. You are to read your own blueprints, section, elevation, top view, read all that and get it. At the end of the day, it's done. So I didn't know what to do. Finally, one of the leads came over and said, "Hey, you lost?" I said, "Yes, I am. It looks like it because you don't have any tool bag. You don't have anything." So yeah, that was the worst day of my life. And I was telling this lead person that I think I'm not for this place. I think I'm going home.
Really?
Yes, yes.
So,
And,
were you able to were they able to change your mind that day?
well, it was again because my friends. I mentioned that golden names, right?
Yeah.
So I told them, well, I'm looking for my friends. They work here, and then I told them their names, and they said, "Oh, here, let me show them where they at." So we walked, and then we went to the top of the ship, going all the way to the engine bay, and finally they were yelling their names, "Hey, hey!" So they came out, "Hey, you're finally here!" And so they finally, I was so relieved when I saw them, because from that point they were able to just gave me a very high level what the expectations are in the ship. Well, that gave me relief and peace of mind because when they were telling me the description of the job being a marine pipe fitter is how to fabricate, maintain, removal of old and replace it with a new installations and all, and those are the things I can do and I love to do. I'm a very hands-on man, and I said, okay, let's give it a try. So they have to go back to their responsibilities, but they gave me to a person that would take me on their wing for a little bit until I get used to what I'm going to do.
So I've been on a few ships like Navy battleships and other ones, and you do see pipes all over the place when you go inside. What is going through those pipes?
Yes, brother. That's a good question, assessment, because there are different layouts in the ship. They have gas, fresh water. They have, air coming out, and all these things that are happening during in the ship. So you really have to know what it is for, right? Because there is sanitary. You cannot mix that with gas. We have the distilling plant, which is turning the salt water to fresh water, and that was my expertise, right? I call it now expertise because I was doing that for the naval ships, and there are different types of items that you need to learn as well, like different kind of valves out there. There's a shut off, or there's butterflies, things like that. And I learned this on after being at the shipyard for, I would say, 3 weeks, because all I did all through that my first day of giving up to the third week, I was given the opportunity to be a what they call the runner, or a apprentice, right? So I did run back and forth to the tool room, to our material room, get my materials. This is the way that I was introduced to what type of materials I'll be working on. Like there's gaskets, rubber gaskets. There's different types of gaskets, nuts and bolts, sizes of nuts and bolts. They're all different. And then, what kind of tools I need to use for my job. And after that, 3 weeks, I started enjoying it. And then after my fourth week, because again, my relationship with my friends, they were able to set me aside for a week in order for me to read and learn to do the blueprints and what they call the piping isometric drawings. And, this is where you see the elevation, the top view of the job description, and all the layout of the pipes, where it's going, the X and Y's. I'm like, brother, this is the kicker of this story is when I became a pipe fitter, I don't, or before I was to become a pipe fitter, I don't even know how to read a tape measure. I don't even have, I don't have no knowledge of reading. All I know is one, when I measure something, it's, and then one, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, right? That's where I'm going to
do that too.
Yeah. So I have my brother was a plumber. He took schooling for that certification, and he was a plumber, and I had to call him, and he had to draw me a big scale of an inch with the actual measuring scales of the tape measure, from 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, and all that stuff, 3/4, at the very least, right? Because that is the main tool that I use as a pipe fitter, measuring pipes for its dimension to be cut, brazed, and welded, and all that. Because I work with copper, I work with steel pipes on the ship.
So you also did some welding.
What's that?
Did you also do welding?
Well, no, welding, we have different hats for that. There's a welder.
Okay.
There is a those cuts the sheets of the ship for when they have the torch. Yeah, so we have a welder, but I prep the pipe. I bevel them, I clean it up, and then I put them together, and then they tack it, and then they weld it, and then we put it back in place.
All right. We're going to jump into our live chat real quick before we continue our conversation, because we got a lot of people who are joining us this morning. We have Mark Hargis from Baton Rouge / New Orleans. Thank you for joining us. Victor Novelo, you're also joining us in the chat somehow.
Well, hello, brother Victor.
We also have Brother Oliver Villanueva, who is a minister down there in Biloxi. Thank you for joining us. Leah Hill joining us also from Biloxi, Mississippi. We also have our brother Andre Silva, our district minister here in South Central States. Thank you for joining us. We also have brother Matt Bungai, who is a minister, I believe, out in Lubbock. So you can see we're going all across the South Central States. We also have your wife, Mylene Novello, joining us here this morning. Fredolyn Boer from Jacksonville, Arkansas, which is just north of Little Rock. And then we also have Mila Johnson from Jacksonville. Charlene Dela Cruz from Blue Ridge. So that's around your neck of the woods.
Yes.
Blue Ridge. Let's see. Jessica Lopez from Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining us. Also, we have username Andrew LPZ103 also greeting us from Houston, Texas. We also have Roy Francisco, also from Jacksonville. So we got Jacksonville coming out in force this morning. We also have Gigi Dekanai. I'm probably butchering that. But joining us from East Jacksonville, Florida. Awesome. Glad to know that you're also safe. We know that a hurricane just came through there, a big one. I used to live in Florida. I don't miss the hurricanes. I don't miss the power outages at all. But yeah, thankfully, a lot of the people that I know in Florida are safe. Kenneth Owens, also from Baton Rouge. Thank you for joining us. Rico Navarro from Oklahoma City is joining us. We also have Brother Renz Diaz, who is a minister here in Fort Worth, Texas. Thank you for joining us. He's just in the wall behind me because I'm here in Fort Worth. Let's see. We also have Erica Demanzana from Lubbock, Texas. Let's see. Mario Oka from Brixtonville in the Philippines. I see him a lot here. He joins a lot of the INCRadio program. So thank you for joining ours also. Thank you. We also have Rose Warwick from Jacksonville, Arkansas. Patrick Cabanayan from Lubbock joining us. Oliver Gabrantina from Wichita. I believe he's a minister, so it should be Brother Oliver Gabrantina from Wichita, the GWS. And let's see, we had some comments, they're very inspiring story that you're providing. We also have from Paulo Velasco from Baton Rouge. And then we also have Brother Christian Ross, who is our new, what is it? I'm getting it wrong. Coordinator
CFO.
or advisor?
CFO advisor.
Yes. So
Christian Family Organization.
He helps to oversee actually this broadcast. So thank you for joining us. All right, let's go ahead and jump back into this. If you have any questions, by the way, about working at a shipyard, or you want to share something, feel free to drop it into the chat. So this job, working at a shipyard, we're getting back to it. What are some of the things that you liked or disliked? I don't know where you'd like to start, but what are some of let's start with the dislike so we can end on a positive note. What are some things you disliked about this position?
It's very messy. You come home dirty, right? That's the gist of this job. You're on your own. You dive into the ship, the bilges, and you get dirty. It's very hot. It's very hands-on, is what it is, and it's not much of a dislike, but it's like there's a lot of work in regards to being a marine pipe fitter. Proficiency, and there's a lot of mentally preparation, because this is a ship that would be a lot of crew members would be boarding in this one, right? So whatever that you're doing, even if it's just a small job, it will depend on your professionalism, understanding of things. You have to have the strong knowledge and a type of the things that you do, because the word is a pipe fitter. You have to make sure that everything is lined up correctly, right?
What kind of ships are we talking about, by the way?
So there's multiple types of ships, right? But the one I mainly worked on, and I know Rico Navarro is one of the he's in the Navy. We used to work on some of the Fram's ship. It's a battleship that was in the naval, and it's being given to Coast Guards. So what happened is that those naval ships will come into us. We assess them, and then we go for what needs to be done to convert it to Coast Guard's use. So we assess that we need to change the fuel lines. We need to change the distilling plant if it's already corroded. Then we need to distinguish if we need to replace the whole thing, or just maintain, or just repair. And I'm always afraid that if I messed up, it will cause a lot of disadvantages or some chaos in the back, right? So that's my fear, and the things that I kind of didn't like about the job. That responsibility, because there's one time, I don't know if I can say this, but there was this pipeline. I believe it was a 12-inch. Correct me if I'm wrong. That this is the fuel line. Before that you can do anything about it, you have to prove it, meaning you assessed everything. There's no fuel in the tank and everything. Being new, this was one of my first I have to replace a section on that pipeline. So I did my part. I got my my the person that would cut the pipe. I forget their name now because I'm a pipe fitter. There's a rigger, and I think they're like sheet metal, something like that. So they're the ones to cut the pipe, and I asked for that on my work order, and then I asked for a fire watch where they have this big gallon of water, and so that in case of fire, they can turn the fire off, right? Distinguish it. So one thing I forgot was to air it out and make sure that I request for certification that I can already cut the pipe. And so I told my person, go ahead and cut it, and they cut it, and once they start cutting it, it was like a cannon, bro. I kid you not. It was like a cannon that blew up. Everyone was started. Everybody went out, and then somebody, and then again, my friend vouched for me, like, oh yeah, it's good. It's all good. But but that could have caused me termination. But again, those are the things that I don't want to mess up. That's why that's the part that I started learning to make sure that even in my life practice now, ask first before you do something. So
I'm kind of curious. I want to go back to the the water distilling, because I didn't realize that, like, yeah, when you're out in the sea, you can't really carry all the water that you necessarily need, and that they distill it. What does that water taste like?
I've never I've never tried it before, actually, because what happens with my responsibility is once everything when I get everything all done, we get it QC'd and tested in place, and then after that they go see on a sea trial, and I'm not involved in that anymore because after that it's handed off to the engine crew, which handles the that area, and then they kind of take. So my responsibility is once everything is intact in place, they make sure that there's no leakage or the pressure will break some of the attachments or the valve clog up and things like that. So they determine that before they go to a sea trial is what they call it.
Yeah, Rico Navarro mentioned that he's also familiar with the shipyard, and that you have to make sure that the pipes have no residual fuel before you cut and weld them.
Yeah. I learned that the hard way.
Yep. I could say that too. Learn a lot of things the hard way. Let's see. What about things that you liked about the job?
The learning experience is awesome. I loved it because it taught me the responsibility, the discipline that I have to be, the way that I need to communicate to my peers and my leads, and to understand the importance of my responsibility. Because being a pipe fitter it's just from not knowing about the job, and from knowing it to be a journeyman is what the qualification is you go to apprenticeship, and then you go to journeyman, and then of course you get more seniority from that point. It's awesome. It's awesome because I get to be proud of what I've done at the end of the day. From making something broken to making it work, and then it's not just for me, because we're talking about a big, again, I worked on the ferry boats too, right? I worked on a destroyer. I worked on different types, and so again, my mindset is I have to do a great job. I have to learn and understand all this, because again, when I'm done with it, other people is going to be on board. It's going to be on board, and I learned a lot in handiwork, tools. Again, reading tape measures and reading blueprints is the most thing that I loved about it, because it made me understand how a big of a ship can function in so many ways by the schematics of the way it's built. So yeah, it was a very very good experience for me to be in that shipyard as a pipe fitter.
All right, before we close out, I'm going to mention a few more commenters. So we have Don's Jez greeting everyone a blessed day. He has hashtag Arao Nang Pagsamba. I don't know what that means. I don't understand Tagalog. Can you translate?
Around the pagsamba, during worship service.
Okay. Let's see. We also have Kenneth Owens mentioned that one of his first jobs was at a shipyard, Port Allen Marine. They built barges when he was 18. He said it was dirty. So
Oh,
he agrees
barges.
with that.
Yes, I worked on barges too. That's the first time that they told me to check on the fuel bilges, right? Yeah, because they have like different sections for fuel.
Uh-huh.
You have to go through them, make sure that it's empty and there's no one's left behind. And if you ever go to bilges underneath a ship, you have to have a partner with you at all times.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Arnie Jane, who helps me out here in the studio. She's not in studio today. I'm holding down the fort, trying to manage the cameras and everything. But she says she got a job in medical sales without having any experience and no interview. She met the regional manager, and she thinks that she may have had a crush on her. Offered a job. Let's see. We also have Winged Nike Pub, username Winged Nike Pub. This is Sister Jennifer Trinidad, local of Long Beach, Orange County, California, joining us, greeting us here. Let's see. What else do we have? Brother Rico Navarro says, I guess he's referring to the distilled water. He said it's very salty. So I guess you get all your electrolytes drinking the distilled water on a ship.
Or maybe it's broken.
Or maybe it's broken. Oh no.
I need to check it out.
Charlene Dela Cruz says an interesting and inspiring story. Carlos Novello. Are you related to Carlos?
Oh yeah, that's my older brother.
He says, what a wonderful experience, but it worked. Bravest way to get a job. And he says he's proud of you. We also have Tracy Parker from Jacksonville greeting us. And Wing Nike Pub clarified that it means worship service day around Nang Pagsamba. So yes. Yeah. I learned a little Tagalog today. All right. So to close this out, what advice would you give young people when it comes to looking for a job?
Oh, an advice for young people. I would just advise them to don't be picky, right? We all start at the bottom. I always tell my own children that it's like a ladder, right? You start from the bottom. You really just go up on the very top. Even though that I have friends that brought me in the door, I still have to work hard to get to where I was at as a journeyman, as a pipe fitter. So the advice is don't be discouraged right off the bat, because I truly believe that whatever that we have is it's for us. It's given to us. It's a blessing for us. Whatever it may be, just don't be picky. Just as long as everything that you have is honest, and make the best of it. And then if you think that you need to move on to a different one, then go on. But whatever that you have at the moment, cherish it, work hard for it, because this is the way that we will be known, and this is going to be our legacy. So don't be dismayed. Life is not going to get any better. So work hard, be honest, and make sure that you're doing this for our sake. And of course, in this, if I may, on the spiritual side, we give glory to our God. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, don't be picky, especially at first, because you don't really have anything to say like, oh, I deserve this or that. You're kind of starting at the bottom of the ladder. And just on top of that, like when you get to a job, try to learn as many things as possible.
That's true.
Try to get your hands on as many things as possible, because when you want to make as much as you want to be loyal to a job, in the end, you really have to look out for yourself.
Yes.
And you can take those skills that you learn and the new ones that you acquire, and that would help you find the next career. So like at the shipyard, were you able to learn some of the other jobs, or was it very much like you need to stay in your lane?
There are different tasks, but you are given a expertise. If somebody else will not be there, if they call in, you just have, they will give you a blueprint. That's it. Once they, okay, for such and so is not going to be here. Here's his project, and he has to be finished today because there will be pressure testing. Here it is. Here's the X and Y's, and go for it. And then, yeah, so sometimes I do different areas which are classified. And yeah, you just have to be flexible. Just that's when the time that they will trust you, of course, and the title as a journeyman comes in.
Awesome. Any final shout outs you'd like to give?
Hello to Blue Ridge, Texas, my local congregation, of course. Thank you for the support of my family all over. Those who joined us today, thank you so much. We love you.
And I'd like to shout out Jay Manahan for joining us. She jumped into the chat to greet us there. Thank you for joining us. And also Alan Warwick. I believe he was also in the Navy. But we'd also like to thank our CFO coordinator and SEBC president, Brother Angelo Arano V. Manalo. And of course, our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. So be sure to tune in to INC Radio South Central States next week, same time, 9 a.m. Have a good week.
Thank you for having me.